Hello, people out there, and welcome back to yet another exciting episode of Seek Your Purpose. This is Mayank Sehra, your host for the show. If you're listening to me for the very first time, then please hit that subscribe or follow button on the app that you are listening to get notified of our upcoming episodes. And if you're a regular listener, then please help us grow organically and reach out to the maximum by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Let's kickstart the episode now. So first of all, let me congratulate each one of you for making it to this month of the year. The month of February. The month of love, the month of bond, the month of compassion, the month of feeling blessed, and the month of ishq. The vibes always feels to be a little different to me, especially during this time of the year, when you are being surrounded by all those love and heart decors. And everyone seems to be so happy and in love. Wow. And when I look back at my journey of how love shaped me over the last few years of my life, I can proudly say that yes, it did. It did shape me as an individual who is better than the previous version of mine. And as just said, I happened to encounter this love wali feeling for 5 major times in my life. Although a lot of infatuations happened in between and are still happening every other day, but these 5 encounters, they taught me different lesson required at certain point of time in life. And in this podcast episode, I'll be sharing a quick anecdote from all these love encounters that I had in my life and how these helped me in shaping towards a better version of mine. A version that is much more human, much more thought-provoking, much more individual, and a version that transformed all the way from a carefree soul to a caring one. Let's hit them. The first phase. This phase dated back to my school days. The year would be around 2006 or 2007. Probably the first love encounter I had in my life. We studied in the same batch, in the same class, had a number of mutual friends. So when you have friends in common, attraction happens. And this is what happened with me as well. She was extremely well with her academics. She belonged to a well-educated family and she always dreamed of becoming a doctor and was quite focused on it right from her early school days. While on the other hand, I was quite an average back then and was among the mischievous and talkative ones in the class, while she was the studious one. And she always used to be the topper among the class, always stood either first, second or third, always used to be on the topper of the class. She was intellectual, she had a great IQ, and she was adaptive, she was focused and undoubtedly extremely gorgeous. And eventually, just all because of these traits of her, I happened to draw attraction towards her, and just to be in her good books, I started studying seriously. I started taking life rather seriously, just to gel well along with her and her friends. So she had a dream and she started taking steps towards it. And now, in the year 2022, she's living her dream of being a successful doctor every single day. The lesson I learned was have a crystal clear focus of what you wanted to do in life. And sometimes you have to take tough decisions to do away from your situational comfort zone in order to find a permanent one for yourself. And this love encounter, it taught me the value of being focused, the value of knowledge, and the value of developing an intellect. The second one. The year would be around 2010 or 2011. And I was among the super seniors in school and about to get passed out in the next 1 or 2 years. I happened to meet a girl who was free-spirited. And she was the perfect example of a true sportsmanship. She was actively involved in almost every extracurricular activity she could. You name it and she was a part of it. Dance, drama, sports, music, volunteering, debate, academics, paintings, anything. A soul who was totally bindas back then. Again, We were in the same batch during the last 2 years of our school, and she was proactive, as I just mentioned. She was talented, she was a happy-go-lucky person, gorgeous undoubtedly, and a leader in herself. While I happened to be an introvert back then, I was only interested in my studies and was focused on achieving a great score to earn good grades. But to be with her, I started participating a lot in ECS, extracurricular activities like music, drama, dance, and stuff like that. And things just happened. Change just happened. I started developing an interest of mine towards extracurricular things. So more than academics, I started learning from all these sessions of extracurriculars that I used to participate back then. This was the learning. So the lesson I learned was opportunities are everywhere. You just need to explore them with your wide eyes and open arms. And do not hesitate to fail. Do not hesitate to fail mistakes and learn from this failure. Because talent, it isn't gifted, it's always honed. And expose yourself to imperfection. Simple. So this love encounter, it taught me how much importance does sportsmanship holds in life. From being a timid and a shy guy to the one making podcast for an unseen, unknown audience is what this love encounter taught me. Sportsmanship. The third one. Cut to the year 2013 or 14. I met someone during my stint as an undergraduate. She was among the batch of students who, for the sake of study and to gain an optimal level of education, students were staying away from their families to a different state. College life, especially if you're a regular Delhi University grad student, it offers various shades of life. Various colors of life, I should say. So during this time, the impact of emotions, if you combine it with the latest Bollywood or Hollywood blockbuster, it used to be on the top of the mind. And you start relating things you watched in movies in your real life, then you start living in the same manner. The same just happened with me. The love encounter that I had this time was way different from the ones I had earlier. Just to impress the other person, just to impress the samne wala person, I started doing away from my own personality. The way I was, the things I believe in, the way I operated. I started doing away from all my regular usual stuff just to be in a good books and just to impress others. Well, although this was the first time a deep sense of connection was developed and felt in me, the changes that I was trying to imbibe or make were not so real to me. So rather than accepting things, I was running away from myself. I was trying to be a version which I wasn't even comfortable to deal with. So this made me recall a phrase which says, if you hold a glass of water for 30 seconds, it won't do any harm. If you hold it for a minute or two, your hand will experience a little bit pain. However, if you hold it for more than an hour, you're probably going to fracture your hand. So the lesson I learned was, sometimes it's good to let people go. It's good to let things go. And you cannot confine anything for a lifetime. Do not hold anything inside. Express yourself out. And don't be what you can't be. Do not change yourself to impress someone. Do not overthink. Just face the circumstance and come out with a solution rather than running away from that solution. So this love encounter, it taught me the importance of self-love. The fourth one. The year was 2016. I was in the first year of my MBA program. And on the first day of the orientation session, I saw this beautiful, calm and a soothing soul right in front of me. She was really calm, as if, she was unaffected by the changes each one of us were going through after stepping into this era of life, the era of much hyped MBA life. So in the course of next few months, I happened to draw feelings towards her and started spending time with her. Well, I actually started prioritizing my time just to have most of the time to be with her. And this was a phase where I also started giving importance to myself as well. And self-love is what I started experiencing irrespective of number of flaws that I had. She was a couple of years older than me, but the sort of connection that we developed in a short span of time was the highest point. She was creative, she was calm yet witty, she was deep observant of things and situations around her, she was deeply intellectual, and she was a fantastic speaker. She was so much thought provoking. So, much more than a love encounter, I would rather call this one as a mentor encounter. Because she mentored me, she mentored the immature version of mine to a mature self. She turned me into an empathetic listener. She guided me towards how it feels to be imaginative, creative, and decisive at all times. So the lesson I learned was some stories deserves an ear, and everyone has their own story. You just have to listen to that little inner voice of yours. And if you keep on following it, you will find the love of your life, because just keep on believing in yourself. Just be honest and do not shy away to give a blunt feedback to anyone, because honest relationships are fruitful. Give them a time to settle down on their own and do not regret your past. And this love encounter taught me what love is. A deep-rooted emotional empathy is. What loving yourself means, and what an honest friendship looks like in real life. The fifth one. The year is 2017 and the years following. This encounter was with a soul who looked carefree and full of life at first, but was deeply matured, emotional, yet a practical thinker on the same hand. We met during the 8-week-long internship program, and things started initially as friends, which later paved way for a love encounter, for me especially, and eventually it turned into a heartbreak. Wow, it all happened so quickly. The person whom I met, although happened to be of my age, was mentally matured enough to handle even the toughest heartfelt conversations. She empathized so well that you just cannot hate her. Although I tried to impress her with a lot of materialistic stuff, but it didn't work out. The real reason of which I realized a bit late. And as of now, and we happen to discuss over call for hours and hours about what life is, how things are happening in life. So the true, deep, mindful conversations about life, its happenings, and the deep meaning it holds behind each of its happening. This is what we usually discuss. So the lesson I learned was, money can't buy you happiness. You have to develop a spiritual connection to deeply fall in love with someone. Yes, family over anything, mental health, it matters. Things will sort out, just give them some time. So this love encounter, it taught me empathy. The deep conversations I had with her and the realizations I had, it taught me the importance of mental peace and health. The feeling of empathy. We happen to face situations in life where we judge and we try to hate the person at first because things didn't work out initially as expected. But later, when we try and recall the happenings after years, each one of these taught us something important or the other. And as they say, each person teaches you something. You just need an open mind to reflect on those learnings. And in my case, I hated these persons initially during the initial stint of my heartbreak. But later on, when I realized each of these incidents, I tried reflecting on the learnings I had in my life. And I really acknowledged the lessons they taught me as a part of a delayed gratification. The lesson of being focused, the lesson of sportsmanship, the lesson of self-love, the lesson of empathy, and the lesson of mental peace. These are the lifelong learning lessons I endured from these conversations and years of being in love with these gorgeous souls in my life, which happened to be at the right place at the right time in phasing me towards the current version, a better version of myself. So I really want to thank all these ladies for being the torchbearer and guided souls to me. Thank you, ladies. So that's what I've got for in today's episode. An episode that is up close and personal to me. A deeply personal episode which I tried sharing with you all in this quick dosage manner. So if you love this one, if you felt relatable at any point of time while listening to it, just do share the screenshot of the same and tag me at MAYANKSEHRA on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. And don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and let the podcast reach out to the maximum of people out there. So now, just step out of that comfort zone of yours, break it apart, and seek the purpose that you are destined to. I'll catch you up in the next episode with another purpose seeker and a thought-provoking idea. Cheers.